Want to thank Lawrence. I know Lawrence Jr. is a leader, like his dad. The leaders that came here, our relative, Mary Lou, many times will say, we come from Chief Seattle's family, talking about his sisters. He wasn't an only child. Married into other tribes. That's our relative there. Recognizing her. But she has relatives all over the place. All the reservations. My relative, Siam, Silik, mentioned in his speech, coming from Charleston. That's our line. My mother's line, Thomas Jefferson, Point Elliott Treaty, but also coming from the line on the columns. We're taught as children to know who we are, to remember the story of where we come from. If I say to you, Ishla, Soyape, Soy Kara Apanamiko, always calls Columbus Treaty. That's one of the versions of Chinook jargon Shaw understood. That's how he would have said it to Chief Joseph. It's the inland version. The Chinook jargon only had 300 words to it. It had a coastal version and an inland version. It had different languages, Indian, French, Russian, Spanish, a little bit of everything, depending on where you were. These treaties were negotiated in several languages. We understand the old chief died with a broken heart at Suquamish. He thought we had absorbed you, that you wouldn't absorb us. He was welcoming you to his home, not to your home. In his day, the sky was blackened with migratory birds. The waters were plugged. Every stream, every brook, every creek was plugged with salmon. Every rock on the beach had clams or crabs, bottom fish. We were so rich, we only had to work 3 months of the year. Then we spent 9 months in spiritual celebration. We were so rich, we compiled wealth to give it away so that no woman, no children would go hungry or cold. Our culture was a culture of giving and living with the earth. And now people mock us and say, oh, you weren't the noble savage you claim to be. It's because they don't understand our song, our dance, our ceremony, our traditional knowledge taught us a relationship with the earth itself, that we're children of the earth. We didn't own it, we couldn't give it away. We could only live with it and share it, to protect it and cherish it. In celebration every year, by giving more and more to someone else so that they may enjoy an easier life. My mother's line comes from the Kalalams and the Simiama and the Lummies. My father's line is Lummi and Duwamish and Snoqualmie. We're proud of the ability to be able to go back through the generations to learn who we are. Our elders expect us to remember, to stand up, and to speak with honor and integrity. Amy was saying, I hope you don't make any elderly ladies cry today. Yes, she was kidding, but sometimes when you hear the truth, it does make you cry. Our children and elders and single mothers suffer on the reservations. They have the highest infant mortality. shortest life expectancy, highest poverty, lowest educational vocational attainment, poorest housing, lowest, highest unemployment and underemployment. You name the social economic ill, and they suffer with it. They suffer from historical trauma because somebody destroyed our traditional government, our traditional language, our traditional religion, our traditional housing relationships. And I say relationships because housing was a relationship. We worked together in that big house. We joined together. We knew who we were. Nobody abused the children because everybody could see you. Everybody could hear you. And they knew you had to walk in honor and integrity to carry your name. Because the world around us was full of witnesses. But all of that was taken from us because it was Indian. And it was unacceptable to be Indian. We're not supposed to be who we are today. The policy of the government was kill the Indian to save the man. That meant to destroy everything we identified with, everything that gave us honor and integrity, self-respect and self-love, and appreciation of each other and the world around us was unacceptable. And so what do we have left? Children that turn to drugs and alcohol, that suffer multiple traumas, that would rather die than live in the world that they're born into. I tell tribal leaders that are upcoming, when you go out there, remember, there's a child, an elder, a mother crying someplace, suffering pain, real pain, because they can't get medical health, dental health, mental health, because they can't get an education or a job. They can't feed their kids because the shoreline's been poisoned. The salmon are all disappearing. Every place around us, the world is dying. Our religion taught us to live with the world, to sing, enjoy, to celebrate, to appreciate that something in creation had pity on us as poor human beings. This is what our stories were about. They taught our children that we love you, we'd never point you out and make you an example, a bad example. Would teach you by showing you as a role model. We always wonder what Chief Seattle meant when he said at one time we numbered more than the stars in the firmament. You wonder, what did he mean? Well, before the first white man came into the Northwest, the diseases came. Smallpox, tuberculosis, all of the diseases came in, and they killed 90 to 100% of the villages. Whole populations disappeared overnight. The fishermen came home, and everybody was dead in the village. The hunter came home, everybody was dead. Only the baby sucking on the dead mother's tit was left alive. Chief Seattle was a survivor of parents that lived through that. That's why he had the memory to say at one time, we numbered more than the stars in the firmament. He knew that most of us were already dead from the diseases that preceded you. They died so fast, nobody could bury them. They could only flee to another village, looking for help and security, not now knowing they carried the disease with them. By the time the United States got here, they had to make sure that Russia was gone, Spain was gone, and England was gone from their claims here. They negotiated treaties. Then they came here to tell us that they had a superior claim to the territory, to negotiate with us. A treaty that was already written, modeled on the Treaty of the Omahas, a treaty called the colonialization of the American Indian, to put us on a reservation, another part of the final solution. This is the historical trauma. Our children still live it. They still hear the stories. They still experience it from the emotions of their elders. It's real to them. This isn't something a part of history. This is real. I talked to a man over in Spokane, a Native American, a war veteran. He served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. When he was 9, his grandparents brought him to elders to get advice. Those aunts were 128 and 135. I looked at this man and got up and I hugged him because he was given advice by somebody that was alive before Lewis and Clark came into the Northwest. I was only that one person away. That's oral history. And that's what we hear in the reservation communities. Our children will always hear that in 1972, the United States offered us $58,000 for all of the San Juan Islands and the mainland. And the BIA came to us and said, you can build houses for your people. You can build a hospital, a school, and homes for your people if you take that $58,000. That's in 1972. Our elders sent it back and said, we'll never take it. They said, we'll put it in the bank until you come to your senses. Well, thank God we haven't come to our senses yet. We like to believe. We like to believe that we all have a mind, body, and soul. And there's a teaching. The day you're born, and that when you take that first breath, that was sacred. And if God's willing, your last breath will be sacred. And in between, the challenge of life is to make sure every breath you take is sacred. And your word can only be given through the sacredness of your breath. That's why the treaty must be lived up to. That's why the promises have to be taken care of. Haishka.